which you consult and etc.
Okay. All right. Happy to speak to those things. So you'd started by asking where it came from. So I actually got into coaching because my background is in education and organizational development. And I don't mean education as in I was an educator. What I mean is when I was doing my undergrad and my master's, the things that I loved to do most were being a teacher's assistant, and the courses I loved most were the adult education classes and taking all those extra courses, those little one-day seminars that you could take about adult education. I just didn't know how to actually turn that into a career. So I got this additional certificates and I was able to be a TA, and I loved that. And I went off, and when I finished my master's, I worked for a couple of years as a child protection worker, because I thought all throughout my education, I thought I wanted to be in the helping profession. So a psychologist or a therapist or a social worker. And I burnt out of it really quickly, and I realized actually it wasn't the best fit. I wanted to help, but I actually wanted to help professionals. I wanted to help the helpers. So my next job was an educator in a mental health hospital. And it was perfect because I got a chance to practice psychology and all the things I learned from psychology, but I wasn't the one actually needing to deliver the care. I was able to help the caregivers. So that evolved into doing organizational development work, so team consultations, mediations. I would do professionalism, conflict resolution, all kinds of training, classroom training on those things, as well as I say, roll up my sleeves and do interventions. And the missing piece was in customizing a solution one-on-one for somebody. And that's when I discovered coaching. Coaching was different, I saw, from mentoring, because they didn't necessarily want me to tell them what to do, and they didn't even necessarily need me to have practiced exactly what they had practiced, because I'd never been a doctor or a nurse or a social worker in a hospital, but they needed me to ask them questions that made them feel resourceful enough to see their own future. So that's when I did my coaching certification. It was with psychology background, because of my psychology roots. I did the Adlerian School of Professional Coaching, so that humanistic psychology and holistic approach. And by this point, I was a manager, so I was able to coach my peers as an internal coach, and I was the first coach they'd ever had in the organization, so we developed some systems so that people knew it was confidential. Even my boss couldn't find out who I was coaching or what I was coaching them about. He didn't really like that very much, but anyway, that's fine. And it became such a powerful intervention that it became a mandatory onboarding requirement. All new leaders, when they joined the organization, no matter what their position was, had to do 6 months of transition coaching with me. Because what we found was the people who took it, it was offered to everybody. The ones who took it versus the ones who didn't, their learning curve shortened dramatically, and their success and their improvement, their ability to affect positive change was dramatically different. And frankly, we just kept them longer as well. As opposed to some that never took the coaching, they sometimes would leave the organization 6 months later, and then we had to start all over again, which is very expensive and time consuming.
I know, yeah.
Finding a new leader. Yeah, so that was my background as an internal coach. And then when I went out on my own, the coaching I do now is the same sort of thing, but from the outside. I was on a plane, the plane ride on the way home. I was sitting beside a business owner who's experiencing some frustrations with his senior leaders. So we were talking about how coaching could help him, and I have his business card here, and I've left him a message already to see if he'd like to proceed. But then the other part of the coaching I do is to help people like me who made the leap from corporate to their own work. To how do I make that leap, and how do I scale? If I've already made the leap, how do I scale up my business? So yeah, that's kind of my coaching journey in a nutshell, not having had any clue that coaching was a thing. And now in my business model, it's 20% of my revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long-winded answer to your question. What other follow-up questions or clarifying questions?
And did I understand you correctly that you started in corporate as a coach and then you started your own business, right?
Yeah, I became an ACC level coach, which, as you know, is the second of 3 levels in the International Coaching Federation, just based on hours I had acquired as an internal coach. And I was doing a little bit of external coaching work too, because I wanted some variety. I wanted to see what it was like coaching somebody in manufacturing, or somebody, what it was like coaching a CEO. And I couldn't coach my own boss. So I had to coach other people, other executive directors or CEOs. So a little bit of that work was external people, but I was so busy in my job, I didn't really have much time. So most of I think it was 750 hours were required to get your PCC at that time. I don't know what the requirement is now. That was all based on with a few, maybe 100 hours exception. That was as an internal coach over this of probably 6 years.
Mm-hmm. And how much time does it take right now from your life, like coaching? And you do mostly, like you said, 20% of income, but how much time, like, you put in personal coaching?
Yeah,
like, I mean, the business, but it's still personal.
Yeah, so people, I usually spend about 3 hours a week coaching people, because my coaching model is an unlimited coaching model. I was sharing with you.
Yeah, I remember this. I really love your business mindset and business side, because I love business side of this world.
Thank you. Well, it's a very much an abundance mindset with my clients, right? Is that they are resourceful enough to know how much and when they need my resources, and I don't need to tell them how many sessions they need. So by working with me, and sometimes people choose to increase to a 12, or sometimes even renew for another year. They schedule into my calendar. So on average, it ends up working out to be maybe 3 hours a week. Some weeks it could be 10, other weeks it could be 1, but most of the time it's about 3 hours a week. But it works out to be about 20% of the income that I bring in. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
I usually have about 6 to 10 clients at any given time, which is a nice number, because it means that they don't have restrictions of access into my calendar. And because I'm 50% of my income speaking, which often requires travel. I just got home yesterday. So it means that usually there's time every single week to be able to fit in coaching. Whereas if I had hours and hours of coaching clients who needed my time in any given week, and either I'd have to sacrifice work-life balance, or they'd be dissatisfied that they didn't get into my calendar. So unless I'm on vacation, and in that case, people get notified well in advance that I'm going to be away for the week, every single week they can find a time slot in my calendar. And my assistant, I give them access to my assistant, that if they can't find the time that they need, then they can contact her, and she'll take a look to see if, let's say, I'm going to be sitting in an airport waiting for my flight, then I might be able to find a quiet spot in a lounge and put in my earbuds and coach them there. So
yeah. It's like, very healthy balance. I see very healthy balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for us, I think, to be resourceful as a coach if we don't have a healthy balance ourselves. That's why I don't book back to back into coaching usually. It's interspersed in other things in my day. So when I get on the coaching call, it's with a whole new renewed energy, because I've just shifted from doing something completely different. And doing things like this, having these types of conversation and being a true extrovert, it energizes me. Whereas the thing I have to do right after this call is I have to write a proposal. So it's kind of nice that way. I had a coaching call first thing this morning. It was so energizing to start my day that way. It just happened to be it's not always that way. It's not always how I start my day, but it's like now I've been high energy the whole day because of that. And and you were asking about how many hours do I coach? the flip side to that is I have coaches. I have 3 coaches right now. I have a life coach, I have a speaker coach, and I have a marketing coach. So I'm really a big believer that coaches need coaches as well.
I
And
totally agree with you.
yeah, exactly. So what kind of coach do you need now is kind of my belief.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because sometimes I can help others in a lot of things. I have some mentoring, as I would say, whom I helped to get out from, I would say, even till some degree, psychological issues, even though I shouldn't say it and I shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But they couldn't afford, like, it was my friends, and I just offered them to help them. But in some sense, I struggle by myself, and I need like another level or another view, some eyes from side who would say me, you know, you just need to do this or this, or like you don't see this big, huge elephant which is in front of you, and for some reason you're walking around. So I totally agree with you about, like, because we don't have eyes on our head.
Yeah, we don't, exactly. And sometimes you need that outside perspective to help you through these great questions, see it another way. So, you know, a couple things to think about would be, one is who in your chapter might be looking to build up their hours to get to the next level of designation. They might be willing to take you on as a client for perhaps a different rate than they normally would, because they have an incentive to reach a certain number. Sometimes there's peer coaching, trading coaching in the International Coaching Federation, ICF. So for example, my life coach, I'm trading her business coaching. She's building her business. I've never had a life coach before, so we do a trade. And then the other, of course, the third way to think of it is it's an investment. So, you know, even if it's costing money, like with my business clients, for example, I work really hard with them right out of the gate to find ways that they can make money, either in their side hustle job, or if it's their full-time business, right away, so that the coaching isn't costing them money. Or we'll do monthly installments so that they're not paying for it all right up front. They're paying for it, you know, as they go. So, you know, there's lots of ways to make coaching accessible, even when you're a student, even when you're a small business, even when you're growing, even when you're starting out, even when you're transitioning. Lots of options.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, but and like I really like scalability. So like, because you have like 3 hours per week on average, it doesn't link you to your business, and you have this merchandise, some sites, some extra lessons. It's very, very smart way. And I understand that on this stage I'm probably not ready for business jump, like more financially and time based, because this education takes all my time and I cannot drop it just because for immigration reasons. Like while all my documents getting ready, like I need to study.
Yes. Well, so if the question is there a tiny piece on the side that you could do, either to prepare for when you're done school to launch your business, so that you may not be focused on making money right now, or is there a small tiny piece that you could shave off in terms of your time to be generating income in your area that you're going to specialize in? And the reason why I ask you that question, or suggest that that's the way of thinking about it, is because that was the question that I met this wonderful woman, Kim Shepard. She doesn't call herself a coach, but she's very coach-like in how she leads. And we were both speaking at a conference. We really liked each other. We just met, but we decided to have dinner together. And when I was working and this was when I was in my senior leadership role in the organization, she asked me, so what will you be telling me in 5 years? What's your life like? And to my complete horror, I burst into tears. And because it just all of a sudden hit me like, oh my gosh, if I'm still working 60 plus hours a week, carrying my pager 24/7, I'm going to be miserable. And I had no idea until that moment that it wasn't working for me. So she said, okay, well, we got to fix this right away. And I'm telling her all the reasons I can't. We're so much debt, and we need 2 incomes, and my kids are small, and da da da. And she said, how can you shave off 15%? I don't know where 15% comes from, but this is what she said. 15% of the time you spend giving to your employer, you're already giving more than you get paid. How can you take back 15% of your time? Initially, I said it wasn't possible. And she said there's ways for you to be more efficient in how you work. There's ways of other people doing things for you and you delegating. There's ways of you turning down assignments or projects. There's ways of you lowering your standards. There's lots of different ways to take back the time. But when you find that way, and I believe, she said, and I believe, Sarah, you will find it, not in this moment, but I believe you'll find it. How are you going to redirect it to what's going to be your next, that's going to set you up for your next leap? And I found a way. I just started saying no to things, being very discerning, not going to meetings that I didn't need to. I just was enrolled to do or I was thinking about doing an MBA. I threw that to the side. Didn't do some certifications I thought I was going to do, and instead started writing a book. And that's the book that you saw at the event that we were at. And I had just a call with somebody this morning, a business owner who's read the book cover to cover. I've never heard of this person in my life. Somebody gave it to her, and I'm coming into her organization to do some training for her leaders and to do a celebration event for her staff. So, there's little things that you can shave off. There's little windows of time, or finding, okay, I'm going to take half an hour every Friday night, or instead of watching Netflix, I'm going to take that time and I'm going to have a Netflix holiday and I'm going to redirect that time, like whatever it is, to do short bursts of very focused work to be able to move forward to that next step. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's a choice.
I know, yeah.
But I'm just putting the choice out there because it's possible. So, and you don't have to give up school, and you don't have to give up immigration. There's a both and here.
Yeah, this chance that I was on this conference where you were presenting is because I speaking up everywhere about my goals. And like in Ukraine, people have superstitions that don't say about your goals, it will not ever happen. I believe if I tell what I want to do, I will find proper people. And just one of my group mates, she gave me contact, like she contacted me. I know now who is this woman, but before I didn't know who exactly to talk and to say thank you. And yeah, it's like I use these opportunities. And also I enrolled, like I'm hanging out not with psych major students, even though I have friends around, but with business students. I enrolled in chapter of business association here, and I go into business side here. And I know that I have like some spot of electives, elective classes, and I will take definitely their business, like public speaking, presentation, business writing, because I understand that that's what is important for me. Even though I like psychology and it's useful for me, but I also understand that I like business side too, and I don't want to sit from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. and like coach or like teach somebody, or like I was in this already area where I was a slave of my business, and I burn out so much that I understand that I kind of can make money there still, but I cannot do it anymore. Like it's so. Like I want to throw up if I starting to think to work there again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're really clear what you don't want, and that helps you to stay focused. That's one of the reasons for my teenagers that I want them to have these jobs that that teenagers can get, which is stocking shelves or working at McDonald's, or I mean, hey, if they wanted to try to become famous YouTubers, I would support that too. But, they don't have any interest in that. So I say, well, you got to have a job, you got to make money. And part of why I want them to do that is so that it keeps them motivated to find what they want to do, and then to stay in school and to keep working at it until they find their passion. And sometimes you have to do stuff like, we were talking about this last week. You trained hard. You are, you have incredible talent in the technology field, and you realize it's not for you. So that's great. I mean, it's not a waste because you'll always be able to use it, build that into your business. You're farther ahead than a lot of coaches are and potentially you'll be able to develop an app or, or maybe you're going to work with people in the tech field and coach them. I mean, who knows where it's going to take you. So nothing is a waste, including doing things, learning things about what we don't want to do. I think we need to do that as teenagers, as in mid-career, end of career, the whole span. It's about constantly sifting and sorting the things we like and don't like. And that's why I don't do mediations anymore. I am really, really good at mediations, but I don't do it anymore because, beside it being off-brand, I don't like it. So have somebody do it who loves it and who's really good at it, not just somebody who's really good at it but doesn't like it. So, but I had to take training and practice it and, learn. I could look at it like that was a waste of all kinds of time, energy, and money, or I could look at it as just further clarifying where my genius is and where it isn't, and how transferable skills will be present in everything that we do.
Yeah, and it actually can be on intersections, and it can be useful because at some point I looked at my education and my this programming career as something like such a loss of 10 years of my life. And right now I understand that for me, it's even though my level of English is not so high, as I would expect or as it's required, or writing skills. But I know that prior knowledge is very helpful because something what people never knew and never tried, I did for thousands of hours. And something we have statistic, for me it takes maybe 15 minutes, for some people it will take few hours.
There you go. There you go. Exactly.
And prior knowledge, how to study, even though it's different country, it's still, you have some skill set, how to study, and who just started and started trying to organize their time and their management skills, or they don't know how to use even calendar, how to plan properly, how to use it efficiently, how to adjust. And I try to cut off time which I spend in for the university, because I'm still perfectionist. And as soon as I go into this education, I understand that I spend too much time to do it perfect, but it's don't need it. And then I understand I need to put my goals, how much time do I want to spend for family, how much time do I want to for other goals, dreams. And on previous Thursday, when I was commuting to you, I was studying biology because I had on the next exam. But I understood whatever I will get. But it's not so important to put it it's so high that to skip something what is more important for me right now.
Yeah, exactly. And really that's the genius of so much in the coaching field is helps people to clarify that. You're able to figure so much of this stuff out yourself because you are in that field, and lots of people aren't. So it just role models for other people who don't have that background as a coach or being around other coaches. So, absolutely. I think that it's great that you're living that by example, because people will notice that. And in your school environment, that's going to be really, really helpful for people to see. And I'm really glad to hear that you're not letting perfectionism hold you back and make you unproductive, because progress is better than perfect. I think it was Stephen Covey who said that. And that can take people a lifetime to learn. And here, look how young you are and you figured that out. So, yeah. What other questions did you have for me for your assignment?
They didn't give specific question. Took the person, interviews them. So I interview and what is interesting for me. And that's what I like about this class. It's actually career development, name of the class. But focus, our professor, she gave really good task, make 5 years plan, or make a wonder map where you put some connections and find out what do you really want. And I wish somebody would do something like that with me 10 years ago. It's by credit it's very minor class, but by value it's very good class. Or interview somebody who would you like to, like career would you like to have, and it's really great. I really enjoy this class, and it's online class. It takes not so much time, but like focused question which you're asking, it's very important. Usually you don't have time to ask yourself, what do I really want to do in 5 years? And it's like, it's so flexible and so not stable. Maybe there are no reason to put 5 years plan. And when I started to write down things which I put on the paper, I understood that I am afraid about some things, even dream. I'm complaining that I'm not traveling enough, but I'm afraid to dream about it. And I just put like something, what is going on right now on higher priorities is something that is really important for me.
That's really powerful what you just said. It's that fear is the number one thing. When I ask people about what has stopped you from entrepreneurship or what is the thing that holds you back, fear is the number one thing that I hear. So I share that with you just because you're not alone. I'm sure you know that already. And it's people maybe don't think until they try something like that. Well, why would you be afraid of your own dreams? Well, there's lots of reasons. Maybe we've been told don't have dreams. Maybe it's the culture we were brought up in where we think of the present and we don't think too far down the road. Maybe we've told ourselves it's selfish and there's some family norms around that. Maybe we're from like having more of a collectivist mentality that it's about what we want versus what I want. Maybe we think that it's not possible for us. Like there's all kinds of stuff that can get in our way. But the fact that you're pushing through it is powerful. And I wouldn't have been ready for this assignment until fairly recently, but my speaking coach, she gave me an assignment 6 months ago, and she told me, what does 2025 look like for you? And she said, go and find an image on Google Images of the image that represents your ideal 2025. I can show it to you if you want. And then write down what is present in your life. And this is what I did. And so it's a huge audience of people in balcony seats, like 3 levels of people. And it talks about, how much I'm making and where I'm speaking and the average size of my audience and, being a best-selling author and how much money I make and, and the brand and selling my business and sharing the stage with certain people and how many YouTube subscribers. And, like this stuff it's almost easier to do, I find, at this point in my career, the 2025 vision, because the pressure isn't that I need to speak on the same stage as Oprah right now, but maybe that happens in 10, 25 years from now,
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just, that was a powerful, I would say, calibrating exercise for me to put all of those big dreams in one place. And when I'm feeling, and I hope the same for you, when I'm feeling distracted, I can look at that and that's my true north. That's what I consider my 2025 vision is my true north. If I'm not doing something that gets me closer to that, then I shouldn't be doing it. And so I can be very discerning about where I put my time and my energy based on that question. Does it fit there? I mean, the other question is it family centered? I mean, that's always my first question. And if it could be, or it is family centered, great. If it's not family centered, the next step better be, does it get me closer to my 2025 goal? And if the answer is no to both of those, then it's a no, easily a no. Yeah. But I love the fact, where was that course in my career? I didn't have anything like that in my education.
I'm surprised. Yes, like as I told on the trainings, that for me it's hard to accept still that it's. I think that it's not serious, and somewhere this curiosity deeply since childhood, since like maybe 10 years old or 12 years old, and. I understand like something what courses here in US, the professor teaching them in Ukraine, it would be taken like, I don't know, some sector or something not serious. And I understand what I like to do this stuff, and it's helpful. Some people, for some reason, people don't realize it. I don't know. So like US, for me, from this perspective, very good environment, because people are ready to be consumers. And actually in Ukraine, they also getting ready, and they normally accepting that sometimes you need to go to psychologist, sometimes you can use services as coach, and the more coaches became in Ukraine, and certifications and all this stuff, and it's very inspiring.
Yeah. Seems like you're in the right place now, though, and that you were ahead of your time, perhaps, and you are in the U.S., that you're in the right place, and that you'll be able to bring this genius back to the Ukraine if that's what you choose to do, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can do it worldwide.
Yeah.
Limit myself.
I love that. I love that.